Here's the money. I want that big bulky game right there. Anyway, it rung up $5, and it was amazing. So I got a brand new copy, box and everything, Earthbound, box, player's guide, everything, $5. My mother kept the change. She kept my money though. I didn't care. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I totally don't care. I got my game. And I cackled like a madman and ran off. Pilot Wings I bought at that pawn shop. I got so I've not really played Pilot Wings. Bought it for the novelty. I actually played Breath of Fire 1 after Breath of Fire 2. Now for my Super Nintendo, not my Super Nintendo, my 64 was the platform that was really hit the hardest on my moves. I used to own Quest 64, which is a terrible game. Don't ever play it. Smash Brothers, Super Mario 64, which that copy that's on that list there is another copy that I've bought since then. I had let's see, what was the game? Blast Corps. I had a bunch of games, and Perfect Dark. I had GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, and we spent me and my brothers, spent many days, many weekends because I would only go visit my dad on the weekends. See, I'm my mother's only son. Okay, my mother has one other child, and she's 9 years younger than me. But my dad has. I have 5 brothers and sisters on my dad's side, and none of us have the same mother. So yeah, I'd go over there and there'd be lots of kids. Uh, Incidentally enough, my mother is the only one that he has had multiple kids with, and the other child that he had with my mother, he died before I was born. He drowned in a pool. Which, incidentally, my mother is incredibly angry all of June because of that. She gets very depressed in June because he fell in the pool and drowned. Anyway, I think, so let's continue on with this. My big heyday, although, will probably always be the PlayStation 1 era, because that's really when I started to get an allowance. I had entered junior high by this time, and my mother was like, well, here's, I had free lunch growing up because, we're poor. And my mother was like, well, I recognize the fact that you might want to get a soda, or you might want to buy a piece of cake, or you might maybe you want an extra piece of pizza just one day. So here's $5. It lasts you the entire week. So I ended up with a $5 a week allowance. And I don't think I ever used it once, ever, for actual food. I bought video games with it, and my mom didn't care. She was like, "Well, it's your money. Do it with what you want." So I bought video games. I bought video games like a mofo, and the PlayStation 1 area was the one where really I fell in love with SquareSoft, and I still like Square games, although I don't know, back then they didn't have this. They're really pretentious now. The games Square Enix releases now for the Square side are just incredibly pretentious. They're more about being a Square game, we have to. They're than they are about being fun. We want these games to be pretty, expensive. We want to push the envelope of what you think is, but they don't make as fun of games. They try too hard and they end up with games that are really pretentious. And no matter how good the game is, I just don't feel it. Like Final Fantasy 13 has really good battle mechanics, but the rest of the game is so damn pretentious. It gets on my nerves. I don't know. they take themselves too seriously, I think, is their big problem now. The Square part. The Enix part could take themselves a little more seriously, because I've been playing the Dragon Quest remakes, like 5 and 6. I just beat 5, and I've started 6 now, and there are so many puns. Oh my god! And it was bad in Dragon Quest 8, and now it's just gotten worse in Dragon Quests 5 and 6, and then I started fiddling with 9, and the puns, man, the puns are killing me. They're so bad, so bad. But you can't do. They're good. They're good games regardless. Anyway, first game I ever owned on my PlayStation was Final Fantasy VII, and I think that's really what made me fall in love with Square Soft. At that point, no other game had been so expansive, so in depth. I mean, with the story, and no other game at that point had been, to me, Final Fantasy VII. To me, it didn't treat me like I was a little kid. It wasn't cartoony. It was dark. It was, people died, and that really made me fall in love. It had good writing. I mean, and now you look back at it and it's kind of hammy, but for 1997, man, that was amazing. And then of course, I bought Breath of Fire 3, and I've talked about me owning Breath of Fire 3. I've on my third copy now of the game, and I talk about that in the Let's Play, so I'm not really gonna go into that now. Breath of Fire 4, I'm on my second copy, because my first copy, it was totally my fault. I dropped it, it landed face down on the ground, and I tripped over my own feet. And if you've ever tripped over your own feet but not fallen, you kind of catch yourself. And so you kind of do like these little half steps forward until you catch yourself on your balance. Well, I did a half step forward right on Breath of Fire 4 and along the ground, and it ruined it, so I had to replace that one. Final Fantasy Tactics, still on my first copy of that game, hell yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics, oh, I love that game so much. Star Ocean, second story. I need a new copy of that game. My second disc doesn't work. Parasite Eve 2. Oh man, I love these games. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just going all nostalgic on like Saga Frontier, Mega Man Legends, All Arms, Second Ignition. Oh, the memories. Dino Crisis, Vanguard Bandits. If you've never heard of Vanguard Bandits, it's same company that that brought Alundra over. They also brought over Lunar, Silver Star Story, Lunar Eternal Blue, the Arc the Lad games, Working Designs. Vanguard Bandits is an interesting little game. It's a SRPG, it's kind of like Escaflowne in setting. You got for some reason they have giant robots, but they all fight with like metal swords, And they live in castles. Tales of Destiny. I remember when I bought Tales of Destiny. I had $40 in my hand because it was right after my birthday. I had $240 in my hand, and so I'm sitting there in Walmart staring at the thing at the clear through the clear plastic, looking at the games I had on, and I'm like. And I just picked games at random, and like I knew nothing. I did not have a computer at that point. I did not have access to the internet. Hell, I don't even know if the internet existed. As far as I know, it didn't. All of my game info came out of game magazines that I read while at the fucking in the magazine section at Walmart. Okay. I couldn't afford a regular subscription. I mean, it was so it's like I looked at the back of the cases and I decided then, and I picked Tales of Destiny, and I love that game. Found out now that whoa,